The most twisted murder case in history and the elusive trail of evil. On January 3, 2016, law enforcement officials got a disturbing phone call which sparked an unusual homicide investigation. Quickly, an investigation team was dispatched to the scene, and after they arrived, they determined that human remains were indeed there. On the other hand, they were instantly confronted with abnormalities, the first of multiple anomalies that were involved in this puzzling case. At this specific location, just a portion of the corpse was discovered, which immediately led to confusion and fear on the side of the authorities. Incisions that could be seen on the bones of the deceased indicated that they had been dismembered in a gruesome manner after their death, which led to the conclusion that malevolent acts had been committed after their deaths. The investigators painstakingly explored any viable clues, but their efforts to obtain DNA offered no productive outcome since there were no matches that could be detected at any point in the process. The investigation proceeded in a fruitless direction for a period of 4 years until suddenly yielding a startling discovery. Ryan Zimmerman, a young man of 22 years old, had been missing since 2015, just a few short months before the discovery of the skeletal remains. As the detectives dug more into Ryan's inquiry, they were aware that they had made a significant blunder in their previous probe. After collecting recent samples from his family, the investigators quickly came to the conclusion that the bones discovered in the ground 4 years earlier did in fact belong to him. This spurred the detectives to dig more into his case, during which they discovered a hidden fact that he had concealed from his family, which led to his premature death. An investigation of Ryan's online presence, which included his activities on social media and the internet, led to the discovery of a key incident that took place just a few months before he went missing. This event was a virtual interaction with a person named Corey Buzzard. After that, Ryan moved his home from Kentucky to Ohio, which was Corey's state of residency. He brought along two ladies named Sarah and Nara with him on this journey. Ryan made genuine efforts to integrate himself into the dynamic of the other couple, yet he regularly found himself in conflict with Nara as a result of their divergent viewpoints over the portrayal of transgender women in the media. Then again, the initial not many weeks passed by, with next to no critical issues, and it was only after the finish of September that Ryan's reality got ugly. Since they had been sharing a loft, Corey separated their relationship and prompted Ryan that he expected to gather his assets and search for another spot to live quickly. Despite the fact that Ryan begged Sarah for a place to remain, she reminded him that he was just there for Corey's benefit and that he needed to go immediately. Nonetheless, the situation ended up being significantly more confounded than was recently accepted. Nara had been harboring the terrible vision of killing Ryan during the entirety of his stay, and she viewed his expulsion as the ideal opportunity to make her dark wish a reality. She regarded his departure as the perfect opportunity to carry out the plan. At first, Sarah considered Nara's remarks to be nothing more than jokes and talked about them in a lighthearted manner. Sarah's worry, on the other hand, grew when Nara began amassing tools and digging further into the complexities of her plans. She freely confesses that she had genuine distress, but that her love for Nara prevented her from reporting the incident to the authorities. Sarah was alarmed by the regret that would come from selling out somebody who had been an inconceivable help to her during troublesome times. She reached the resolution that it would be smarter to dispose of Ryan than to end her association with Nara, and accordingly, she hesitantly chose to cooperate with her and back her. Sarah and Nara discarded his body in their bath, and afterward they went through the accompanying 3 days discarding it in various different areas all through the country. Even before the authorities uncovered the specifics of Ryan's social media, they began to close in on Sarah and Nara as potential suspects. A check of their flat and automobile in July turned up remnants of human blood in both locations. Half a month after the fact, Sarah was caught, so all in all, she admitted and confessed to the wrongdoing. Nara then again set up a more constant battle. After Sarah's admission, the criminal investigators returned to Nara's home to capture her. Yet, before they could do as such, Nara immediately ventured into her purse, took out a weapon, and shot herself before the police. The uncommon conditions encompassing Sarah's wrongdoing prompted a decision to live in jail, which filled as a fitting end to the case. On the other hand, in contrast to the individual in issue, Michael Parks, a specific pair made an attempt to cover up their criminal behavior. Michael made contact with the appropriate authorities in the year 2020 during the month of August in order to report his wife, Hope Parks, as being missing. The remains that were found were trapped behind the barrier on the side of the bridge. As a consequence, the torso was entirely exposed on the road and the legs dangled over the edge of the bridge. Notably, there was not the slightest trace of a head anywhere on the body. In addition, the tattoos on the corpse matched the ones that Michael had described, which is what led to his arrest for interrogation, even though he was not told that the body had been discovered. Michael begins the interrogation by confessing that he and his spouse were involved in a violent argument over their son, who succumbed to drug misuse, and dwelt with them as a method to avoid financial obligations and enjoy an easy life. Michael says that the argument erupted when their son succumbed to drug abuse and moved in with them. Michael's better half couldn't help contradicting his viewpoint that it was the ideal opportunity for their child to search for new living game plans, and Michael voiced his inclination that the opportunity had arrived for his child to do as such. Subsequently, he gave her a choice to pick either him or their child as a final offer. After that, the investigator breaks the news to Michael that they may have uncovered where his wife had been hiding all along. This information seems to make him considerably more awkward, which is reflected as nonverbal communication and gives the feeling that he's attempting to conceal something more significant from us. The sad response opposes his evident consideration for his significant other's prosperity and his desire for her to securely get back home. Following some thought, the cops reached the resolution that the best line of activity is to play out a thorough pursuit of Michael's current condo to get him free from any conceivable bad behavior. Unbelievably, Michael gives his agreement right away, demonstrating his alertness and keenness, both of which seem to imply that he's innocent. However, once entering Michael's house, the investigators were confronted with a horrifying scene that shocked them to their very foundation. Even before entering the property, the investigators saw a number of bloodstains spattered throughout the front porch, the rear patio, and the grassy area that was adjacent to the home. The garage had splatters of bloody footprints all over it, and there was a shell casing laying next to the patio. The surprising discovery, on the other hand, was waiting for them down in the basement, and it made all these other discoveries seem insignificant in contrast. As the detectives went down the stairway, they noticed an increasing amount of blood along with traces of disruption that suggested someone had been dragged. The decapitated head of Hope Parks was found lying in a little puddle of blood that had been left to dry up. This terrible finding provided conclusive evidence that Michael was the major suspect in the case, which led to his later arrest for supplementary questioning, during which he inadvertently confessed to shooting his wife. Michael was arrested and booked into jail after he admitted to the activities that led to the allegation of reckless murder against him. On the other hand, new evidence came to light before the start of his trial, and it was enough to completely demolish his case. It turned out that he had been doing a study on the usefulness of homemade weapon modifications such as bottle silencers and pillow mufflers, which are useless for just shooting groundhogs. The evidence that was submitted to the investigators was adequate to show Michael Parks' guilt of premeditated homicide. As a result, Michael Parks was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to a life sentence in prison after being convicted of the crime.